So those short little snippets would go on places like Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat, that kind of stuff likes the small bites. Everybody else will take a small bite and get pushed, just keep pushing them to the long form, wherever you house that, be your website or YouTube, Vimeo, that kind of stuff.
Hi, folks, and welcome to episode number 6 of the In Focus podcast, where my goal is to help you establish a clear vision and strategy for marketing and branding your agriculture business through video. I am your host, Austin Black, owner of Backroad Productions, the marketing agency that specializes in video marketing, branding, and strategy. Thanks so much for joining us today, for being a part of this podcast, episode number 6. As we get close to the end of these 7 steps that we outlined in our video strategy workshop. This podcast was designed to help businesses just like yours create a clear plan, outline, and strategy for how to incorporate video marketing and branding into your business and into your brand to develop loyal brand followers, increase sales, and generate new customers. Folks, too many times companies just don't have a plan before they produce a video, and the end result is not desirable. So hopefully through this podcast, you get the steps you need to make your plan work effectively. My guest today is Christy Smallwood. We're going to talk about having a strategy for your distribution model and method. Up to now, we've laid such a solid foundation for how to create that solid plan, that solid strategy for your videos by determining your target audience, their needs, your message, your call to action, and how long that campaign or that video should last. But guess what? If you don't get it in the right hands, if you don't get it shown to the right people on the right platform at the right time, then nothing else matters. Then you are not going to succeed without that plan in place. So today we're going to talk about some very important topics, how you can determine where that video should be placed, when it should be placed there, and how you can adjust that distribution platform to cater to your audience and your brand. We're going to talk about why it's important to be flexible, to be across a wide variety of platforms, but not to do the same thing everywhere that we go. Why it's important to be strategic in determining where that video is distributed to. So folks, let's listen to episode number 6 with Christy Smallwood. Hey folks, we are here at the In Focus podcast. I am so glad to have my guest today, Christy Smallwood. She is my friend, my mentor, and the true Wonder Woman to all small businesses across the country. Christy is the owner of EagleEye Strategies. Her background includes 25 plus years in media, marketing, and advertising, leadership development, and strategic planning. Christy is a trained executive coach specializing in leadership communication, emotional intelligence, and self-definition. Her experience covers a variety of industries and businesses of all sizes. Christy's mission is to break the status quo of small business, bringing order to chaos, clearing the clutter of stinking thinking, and I have to say that slow because I just get tongue-tied every time I say it. Spark the inspiration of big ideas and audacious goals for no-filter entrepreneurs, so she can light a fire under the rears to bring it all to life. Christy, you do this so well. I'm so glad to have you on the podcast today. Welcome to In Focus.
And it's always interesting for me to hear somebody else actually say my mission statement out loud. So it's always fun. So yes, that is definitely my official mission statement. So thank you for having me. I know we get to talk about marketing and things like that today, but I'm very excited about this podcast series for you and looking forward to see what it brings.
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you today. As you know, we're talking about the distribution strategy for a video campaign. And you and I both, we eat, breathe, and sleep strategy. That's kind of our main calling, our mission in life. And I think that this step in our 7-step process is so crucial, because if we don't get that video at the right place and from the right people, then we don't accomplish anything. So glad to discuss this with you today. Start off and tell us more about yourself and about EagleEye Strategies. What do you got going on right now?
So what I have going on right now is I'm actually finishing up a book. So I am writing a book about the concept of how to engage your inner hero. with a superhero spin to it. So it's a labor of love for sure, but it's also how to, handle adversity and figure yourself out and all that kind of stuff as you're working, either as an entrepreneur and as a leader in this whole realm of business or just life in general. But as far as EagleEye Strategies, we provide services that fuel strategy. So that looks different for every single business I work with, whether it be some of their marketing things that they need to have, some people training, some internal leadership work, or just a matter of even coming in and cleaning up processes. So it looks a little different for everybody, but it's all fueled from strategy. Because as you and I both well know, if we don't have a foundation in place and a direction that we're going, we're just not ever going to get there because we don't know where we're going. And I'm real big on that. Like, what is the vision? What's the strat? What do we need to do to get there? That's the framework that we focus on.
Now, I know that you've been in this industry, like you said, for over 25 years, but it has,
and regardless of how many years it will actually be, it's always going to be over 25. Like, we're stopping at 25.
That's
Nobody
all that
needs to know.
That's all that matters, right?
Right.
Well,
it's immortal at this point.
Exactly. Well, that entire time we know has not always been EagleEye. So give us real briefly your background, because you're more than just a strategy guide. You have a wealth of knowledge and experience on a large level. Walk us through what you've done in the past.
Yeah, so I started out in high school at a radio station. So I've been on air working with sales and programming. Then I went from radio to a little bit of TV background, so same kind of thing. So I worked in media right off the bat, and then I also worked with ad agencies. So my first big ad agency job was literally the largest ad agency in Louisville at the time, and I came in at the lowest level, like the typist. But what happens is that you get thrown everything. So you, as that person that is now the official support for everybody else in the room, you're learning everything. So getting cross-trained in all these different areas. And the one that adopted me the most was strategic planning. So anytime we'd have new business come in, I was in that department doing all the research and all the strategy and how do you plan for things? And it's not just about, like, you have to go deep dive into the people that you're talking to, the stuff that you're doing, how all that reflects, like how to make those connections matter. And so then from agency, I went to KFC corporate. And in that corporate sense, that's when I worked in a division that Colonel Sanders actually set up to protect both a corporate brand and a franchisee. And it was the National Council and Advertising Co-op. So it was politics and advertising all day, every day. So much fun. But supporting a board of directors that makes all the decisions that come to them regarding any advertising, any products, any sort of new cookers, even stuff that would go on the windows, how things get built, like every decision goes through that board. And so you learn about all of the intricacies of a corporate franchise structure. And then from there, 2009, I was given the opportunity, like a lot of people in this country were, to go find something else to do with your life. So that's when I started doing a lot more freelancing stuff and picked up a lot of small businesses like my franchisees who really wanted to get some clarity around how marketing works locally for them in that corporate structure. So they knew, like, the boundaries of which a franchise said, you can work in these boundaries, but there's certain things that you could be doing locally that tap into those people in your market a little differently than what the corporate structure is. So helping those small businesses as well, even if they weren't franchises, they made their mom and pops, if you will. That's what they're considered, the mom and pops. You have an idea, you start a business, you're the entrepreneur. Well, the thing about the word entrepreneur is it sounds a lot more glamorous than it actually is. There's been a really good marketing spin put on entrepreneur in the past 4 or 5 years. But those people who are building a life for them and their families through doing something that they love and providing goods and services within their local market and potentially expanding that national and international. So I work with those small businesses a lot because I love them. We can pivot a lot faster than a large corporation can. If something's not working the way that they want, then we're able to come back to the foundation and pivot to a different tactic a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the tactics aren't the thing that I really focus on. It's really developing that foundation piece for all the small businesses so that they know how to make better decisions that's not going to take up all the budget or more than the budget they've got, right? So I'm real protective of that as well when they're making these marketing decisions. So that's a little bit of my background. It covers everything from being in the media to agency, corporate marketing, small businesses. I've done association work. I've done just pretty much everything. It seems like too much. Probably is most days, but I really have done it. So, yeah. That's why we're just going to leave 25 plus years.
You are what we call the jack of all trades and the master of many.
Yes. Yes, I am the master of many. I do a lot of things really well. So I'm like, yes, I'm the jack of all trades and I do them all really well.
Exactly.
So yes.
Well, let's jump right into our discussion today on distribution strategy. Why is this concept so important in marketing, and especially when it comes to videos?
So you and I both know, and I'm sure that you've told all of your followers, video is just number one media element out there now. It gets the most views. It gets viral faster. It gets shared faster. People will consume a video faster than they will text. So knowing that with video, it's like the number one thing. How do you treat this number one piece of element? You need to put it in front of the right people faster, right? So
exactly.
Focusing on the definition of that target market is super important. Targeting is almost everything whenever it comes to figuring out where to put it. Because if you don't know your person well enough to know, are they going to be on Snapchat or are they going to be on Pinterest? Most likely, people will gravitate to one, maybe two platforms, but not five.
Right.
So whenever we're trying to distribute that video in the right spots, we want to make sure we know our target so well. We don't have to be everywhere. We just need to be, mile deep. What is it? Inch wide, mile deep, instead of trying to be in all things to all people. And that's really how to hone in on that. So targeting is super, super important. And then also paying attention to the channels that are out there and are gathering speed. So if your target's leaving a channel to go to somewhere else, are you aware of all the channels that are out there? So there's an awareness factor to it as well. But when you have this piece of video, you need to know how to push it out. And I know you and I have talked before about where to put it, like where to house it.
Right.
Where does it live? Where does this little piece of content live? Is it going to live on YouTube and get shared out? Is it going to live on your website and get shared out? Is it going to live on Facebook and get shared out? Like, where does it live? And so that's also a really important piece, because you want to leverage that type of content to the best house to put it in. Where are you parking it on the real estate, so to speak?
So I'm going to open up the can of worms for you here. There's a lot of social sites to choose from. Everyone knows about YouTube, and most everyone has a website. Let's put the video out there to everything. What's wrong with that?
No. No. However, there are similar channels that, yes, you can take one piece of video and duplicate that video in the next spot as well. Like, for example, YouTube and Vimeo. Go ahead and do that. That's perfectly fine. It's the same video, same thing, whatever. But you don't want to put your 10-minute video that you've housed on YouTube on Instagram.
Right. Because
the viewing behavior is just different. They're going to be like, I'm checked out at this point. So it's another thing of knowing about the channels in which you want to distribute as to how to really chunk that out. Because you could take that one piece of content, let's say you have a really good epic piece of content.
Right.
But certain channels it's just gonna fall by the wayside. You're not gonna get any views. Nobody's gonna care about 10, 20 minutes worth of really solid, meaty material. What you want to do is be able to pull pieces of that out and have it as snippets. You want to take the one content and make 5 different things with it, and then backlink it to the housed piece. Create that curiosity along the way so that they actually want to see the longer piece of content.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the original can of worms. Yeah, no, don't put the one thing everywhere. You don't want to just, and the opposite is also true. You wouldn't want to use a little like mobile app called Boomerang, which takes that little 5-second video and just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You don't want to put that thing on YouTube. Nobody's going to search for that. Nobody wants to sit there and watch it on the YouTube.
Right.
So that's not the best place to put that. And LinkedIn doesn't like boomerangs either. It's too distracting for those people that are in a professional mode.
Mm-hmm.
They just like certain things in their feed. They don't want to see the back and forth crazy stuff.
So what are the best platforms to distribute video, and how does each platform handle video?
It depends on again, it depends on the target. And then it also depends on the message that you're putting into your video. So for example, I do a lot of training stuff. When I do my training module videos, they could be pretty long form content, if you will. So minimum 15, 20 minutes. I'm not going to be putting that on LinkedIn. I'm going to house that on YouTube, or I'm going to actually put it into a training module kind of thing. But what I can do is I can take something totally separate and create a 15, 20-second video that promos this long content. Mm-hmm. And take that 15-second video and put it on Facebook, and put that on, depending on if it's a professional conversation or not, I could put that on LinkedIn. I could put that on Instagram. So the things that are pretty short snippets, consider them headlines. Your headline feeds go to Twitter. Twitter loves headlines, right? So those short little snippets would go on places like Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat. That kind of stuff likes the small bites. Everybody else will take a small bite and get pushed. Just keep pushing them to the long form, wherever you house that, be your website or YouTube, Vimeo, that kind of stuff.
So but
again, it just depends on the message too in a day.
Absolutely.
If I'm not teaching them something, but I just want to share something, I have also these things called 2-cent videos where I literally will pick a topic and just give you my 2 cents on it. And for some reason, people love those things. I would love it if they would come watch all of my long stuff. That's, I put effort into that.
Right.
Here's all of my knowledge in one video. No, they just want my almost sometimes heated, funny opinion about something that's usually I try to keep it 2 to 3 minutes, and they'll watch all of it. It's amazing. Really.
And as soon as you think you haven't figured out what people want to watch, they surprise you.
And that's exactly what happened with those videos. Because again, with what I do, I really want to promote what I do and how I solve problems and how credible I am. And look, I learned this thing and you could learn from me and all this kind of stuff. And it's not really what they gravitate to. They gravitate to when I get worked up about something. They think it's funny. Like, it's really don't. But I have learned, I have learned to use that randomness kind of as a strategy. Mm-hmm. So I make sure I do watch what I say. I'm not hateful. I still represent myself well as a person, but I also make sure that as I put that thing out there, they know where to connect with me. So I'm still leveraging, hey, I still do this over here with my business. I still do this thing, or sometimes it's about doing business with something. And so you just never know. I try to still leverage the random over to my benefit. Mm-hmm. So I'm paying attention to what I'm doing as well. But yeah, the things that they gravitate to are the things I pay attention to what they want more of.
Right.
because that then becomes a pace of posting. So if I know I need you to know certain stuff. Like, so you and I have worked this whole chart out. I want them to know this list of things. I do this, I do it well. You need me, you should hire me. I solve this problem, right?
Yep.
These are the things I want you to know. But what you want to know may be completely different. And so we have to bridge that gap. And so as I'm bridging this gap and putting it in the right channel, then I get more eyeballs to it. People are saying, hey, they're referring this video out or referring the content to their friends, bringing more people into my audience so that I could keep them moving along that path. But yeah, the strategy is very important to have, to be able to pay attention to the people and how all of the distribution is working. So we talk about putting these in the channels. Are we also going back and looking at what's happening with that content in that channel?
Right.
Are they watching it? Are we getting views? Are we getting any engagement on that video at all? That way we can kind of determine to try something different within the video. Whether it be they may not like my background, that's why they didn't even click on it. They may not like my voice, that's why they don't click on it. Or they may like my voice and they just don't watch it. They're listening over here, I never know. So certain things that we can play with how the content is produced, and that's your expertise in that. Mine is, how do we pay attention to the behaviors so that we can determine, based on the strategy, what kind of changes we might need to make? How do we pivot within the detail of producing and presenting?
Definitely. And folks, hopefully you made it up to this far and you're understanding the importance of these 7 steps to determine an effective video strategy. If you're wondering how you can implement this plan specifically into your business, how you can get that custom design outline, then sign up for our video strategy workshop. We're going to have this one-on-one sit-down private session with you and your marketing team to discuss your business, your marketing, your goals, your budget, and figure out exactly what you need to do in terms of video marketing and branding. Create that custom strategy specifically for your business and your brand. Of course, after the workshop, you're going to get that custom outline, that well-thought, easy to follow template that guides you through exactly what videos to use, where and when and how to use them, give you that clear outline, that clear guide that you need to implement this campaign and this strategy in your business today. So folks, don't wait anymore. For more information or to sign up for your private one-on-one coaching session, visit backroad-productions.com/workshop. I know when it comes to online social sites, of course, Facebook is the king, and especially when it comes to video, Facebook just absolutely loves video. Everyone wants to put video on Facebook and have it go viral and everything else. There are some unique features to Facebook that, while I think it's not the overall answer to your video distribution, your video marketing, but Facebook Live, Facebook Watch, 2 features that are becoming widely popular. How can businesses embrace these different features, or are they the right choice, and how do we decide?
It depends.
I feel like I'm talking to an economist.
It depends. So let's take, we're talking business a lot. So when we have stuff that we're trying to do with business, the things that are good to do with live is a lot of more casual kind of things. If you want to have high engagement, or you want to, quickly get the word out about something, or you're literally just having a live conversation and treating them as if they're sitting across the table from you. That is one method for the live. The other is to promote that you are doing a live thing. So if you are like media companies, they will do live interviews. Some conferences have promoted they're going to do live from the stage. So depending on what your service or your product or whatever is, I know I work with a salon and boutique in Southern Indiana. They will do lives once a month. We've scheduled them out for the year and kind of what to do during this live thing. Well, they carry the Aveda product line. So that's hair product, beauty stuff, whatever. And Aveda had released a new product line called Nutriplenish. Well, the stylists did a Facebook Live that they announced ahead of time that we were going to do. And they did a box unveiling of this new product, what they thought of it. And so they're on there going oohs and ahs and smelling and what do you do with this? And, you know, that's the kind of thing that they did for live, and it engaged their audience and it brought people in, because if the stylists love it, then they love it. So it does work too. You can promote products that way. You want to think it. If you're thinking it through, you want to promote ahead of time that you're doing this live thing, and it just becomes part of the marketing plan. If you are going to leverage the randomness, then you want to make sure it's stuff that you already know that your audience likes to receive from you, so that you're showing them something interesting in your day, something that you're sharing with them that you know they like already. That's the two methods to leverage lives for business that I've seen people do.
What about the Facebook Watch? That's the feature we haven't really grasped onto and used, but I'm seeing more and more of it. How does that benefit businesses?
So one of the things that I have done a couple of times for different posts for different clients is we'll load up let's say a 3-minute promo video for something, you know, like a little infomercial. We set it as a Facebook Watch. And what it does is it push notifies everybody on the list. This person, this page just started a watch party. You want to watch it too. So it could be a pre-recorded thing about the watch. It doesn't have to be a live video. So the watch party is you're inviting other people to watch it with you. So you can do that, schedule it on your page, and you can schedule it for a premiere, a watch party premiere. What happens on your personal feeds then is you're getting pushed to this watch party. And if you're clicking on it, Christy's watching this watch party, Austin gets a notification, Christy's invited you to watch this watch party with her. Watch this same video at the same time. And a friend of mine did that. With a Turkish version of the original Star Trek series. No joke. They had their own version of Spock and everything. I couldn't make it through 5 minutes without just dying laughing because this is so different. But she was doing it on a watch party. Somebody had shared it with her, and she shared it out that I needed to watch it, and started it. I was like, yeah, I couldn't keep going just because it was so crazy. But that's how that watch party happens, is as you're watching stuff, you can invite other people to watch it with you while it's happening.
That's big.
It is big. It is big. I'm guessing like award ceremonies, like the Golden Globes probably, or I mean, it's one of those things I don't get into, but I know that they're going to schedule watch parties. So you've got the Academy Awards will be a watch party. The red carpet stuff is going to be a watch party. They're going to do it live and a watch party at the same time. So just because they're live, right? Even if they're live, but I haven't liked their page, if they make it also a watch party, that means their friends can invite them to watch this watch party that's going on live right now.
That's pretty revolutionary.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I would like to say it's also annoying when you get those little ding, ding, ding. Like, what if I don't want to watch that?
It's kind of like a group message. You love being connected, but you hate being notified.
Yeah, like and you're almost afraid to lead the conversation because they will notify that you've left that I get that. Yeah, there's that. But so that's how the live and the watch party things work. So like, I know that you're in the agricultural industry, in the outdoor business. One of my friends, if you're talking outdoor business, she drives a Jeep. And we're talking, she knows how to drive a Jeep for real. Jeep
Nice.
Wrangler. She's in those groups. They go out Jeeping.
Yep.
And she she was doing a ride, and she got Mike is the name of this car, the Jeep, bless his heart. Bright blue, it's beautiful sky blue. Got him stuck, and he got flooded. Not just like flooded as in I'm not going to go anywhere. Flooded as in up to her belly button flooded.
Oh my.
While she's sitting in the Jeep.
Gosh.
And this was, somebody had started a live and a watch party, and we got to see part of it. So there are some aspects
Are
of
they
if
still
you've
friends?
got those moments. Yeah. Because I didn't let her know. I'm like, oop, yeah, I saw that.
Oh goodness.
So yeah, everything nowadays, you can go live and you can share it. Anybody and everybody can do that. And if you know, based on the strategy and the target, if you know, again, that target audience so well that you know the things they like to see, you'll start to pay attention when you can go live and what you want to create watch parties for, either strategically and planned or even random things. When you go to an association meeting, when you've got, like, you just recently had that when you went to the Cattlemen's Association and you had the dog herding the ducks. Right. So that was I was like, I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been hilarious. I know when we go to the people go to the state fair around here. Now, I grew up on a farm. My mom still has, I go to the farm once a month. I get ducks, geese, guineas. She has guineas. That's why I'm like, because they're loud and obnoxious.
They're so annoying.
She's got a donkey. No, don't do those. So I get it. And ducklings are one of the cutest things in the world.
Yep.
Until they get a little bit of dirt.
Right.
And then they're just
ugly.
But at the state fair, they've got that little pool, right? Mm-hmm. And they have this thing, the little slide thing, and it just takes them up. They slide down. I get so many people sharing videos of that thing during state fair around here because they didn't grow up on a farm.
Right.
They think it's the most fascinating thing they've ever seen. And that gets shared a lot on my feed.
Absolutely.
Cute little one. Yes. Now, the brilliant ones, though, have branded that pool and the slide so that your brand is shown every time that little duck goes down the slide. It's your brandy sliding on.
That is smart.
Right. So even how to leverage other people's lives and watch parties on their videos.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that kind of, gives us a good overview of the videos that people can do, in the moment, or kind of in that engaging method. As we look at maybe some of the campaigns that a business is working to produce, something that's maybe more on the professional side. In one of our earlier episodes, we talked about the buying cycle and how different people need different messages at different times. How can you take that buying cycle concept and then go into this step of your distribution? Do you need to put those videos in different places depending upon where that person is, or is it the same concept of just put it in 2 or 3 different spots and have a different type in each spot?
So if we're talking about a buyer path, and so we're focused, typically when I work with somebody about a buyer path, I'm focusing on the one person and their buyer behavior. So I'm not looking at 5 different people. I'm focusing on one so we can concentrate on the efforts. If I'm following that one person around and I've got, let's say, that 15-second clip that leads into something bigger, this 15-second clip is going to be, hey, I got this thing coming up. I need you to put it on your calendar. Don't forget. That is going to go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next clip is going to be like, hey, over on my YouTube channel, I'm on Facebook. Be prepared because we're going to go live on this date, this time. This is the thing that's happening. Really want you there. Or I'm doing a webinar. This is the thing. So what the little snippets are the things that I'm driving them to one specific area.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it like the blue heeler dog. I'm herding them into one corral.
Right.
So that they're going in one specific one spot is where I need them to go. So it's that funnel system of bringing them all into one place so they get the meat at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So then everything else along that pathway just keeps driving them to the one spot. And then you keep narrowing it down as you go. So you might start out with 5 different channels, but then you're going to be like, I've got this thing's going on. Here's where you can find it. And here's the thing.
So is that strategy going to differ if we're doing more marketing videos versus branding videos? I mean, if you have a brand film, 2 to 3 minutes long, are you going to treat that film differently than if you have a marketing campaign of 4 or 5 or 6 different product videos that you're trying to push out?
Yes. So a branding video, and this is when I was at KFC, one of the things that we did, so I know this is corporate, but this has helped me tremendously apply it, branding to, I need to sell something for small business. Because there's 2 different messages going on. Branding is how I want you to feel about me, and this is what I'm about. This is me telling you how you should feel. The product, the campaign piece is, I have this thing ready for you right now.
Right.
And so the branding, that needs to be housed, right, and referred to pretty sporadically, but consistently enough. And the theme that you're using in that video needs to show up elsewhere. So the environment types, your colors, the looks and feels, this kind of music that you might be using as a background, if any, fonts matter. So all of those kind of details that you're using in your branding video will show up as supplement to the product or service that you're pushing in that message. So then that product or service campaign will have specific messages on its own. And at KFC, we had 2 targets that we focused on a lot. We had the moms, because they bought the family meals.
Right.
And then we had the heavy fast food users, of which we call them HUFUs, the HFFUs. So acronyms. And of course, heavy fast food users like that 99-cent menus and the snackers and the single things. So taking what I learned in that setting then and seeing what's happening now, if you look at the KFC commercial specifically as an example, you see that they still use the Colonel, even though the original Colonel would be turning in his grave. Right. They still have the Colonel, right? They still have the red and white. They still have the bow tie. But you're going to have a different message based on the different target. So you've got the family around the meal, or you've got the $5 boxes. The family will have family faces in it. The boxes is just the Colonel.
Right.
Now, the whole time, so they've not done a real branding message really since I worked there. And it's been 2007 was the last real branding they did. Branding for them meant we did a 2-minute commercial, and it was awesome. It was my favorite ever. It had NASCAR, it had picnics, it had everything. I was like, this is Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
And it just had a lot of history and like, this is what we come from and this is what we're about. It had all the heart to it. And now it's kind of evolved into the comedy. When we talk different branding versus product, that's kind of what you want to do. You want to put all of your heart and your meaning and everything into the branding piece to help get people to really resonate with you. And then your product stuff is a lot shorter, very to the point. This is exactly what I've got. This is the exact problem it solves. And here's what we've got to solve it. You don't like to fix dinner, come get dinner with us.
Right.
That's very exact, specific things. So those are the difference between the branding and marketing campaign kind of stuff. Does that help answer that question. I know I rambled.
That's great. Is it safe to say that that your branding probably needs to sit on your website 90% of the time, and marketing needs to go out in social, or does it need to interchange once in a while?
Your branding should always live there. That you should always have a house for it. But as far as how it gets presented on the website, because the website activity with your search engines, it needs to be active. Mm-hmm. You do want to switch up the content, but you always want to have that branding piece there. So for example, if you use your branding piece as your header video, mm-hmm. you could do it for a season and then move it and have it in the About Us page and change the header video to something else if you're offering something specific or adding a lead gen download. So however you want to play that, but it does need to be there so that people have a way to learn what you're really about. And those videos are, when you have a branding video, it's one of the most amazing, heartfelt things, because I know when I've been in marketing since dirt, it feels like. So when I watch a well done branding video, it tells me that first of all, you've put some time and effort into thinking through what you're about and the heart behind what you do and the vision that you have for your business. Like, you're putting all of that into it, and it now means something to me. Sure. You're not just there to sell me something. So it definitely puts you in a different category when you've thought it through and you've just done it that way. But yes, you need to house it on your website, but you can switch it up, but it still needs to be there somewhere.
Makes perfect sense. Well, if you had to think of one line or one sentence that encompasses the message you think is most important about distribution strategy, about where to post your video, how to get it out there, the one thing that if people have gotten this far on the podcast and you want them to remember nothing else but this, what would that one thing be about distribution?
Really define your target and watch their online behaviors. Then you'll be able to make the best decisions. Period.
That is huge. But put it in the right place from the right people is the key to success.
Absolutely. As much as I love talking to people in general, if I'm trying to build my business or accomplish something specific, I want to talk to the right people that can fit what I want to accomplish. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, Christy, thanks so much for sharing your insight today. I know like I said, you're as passionate about strategy as I am, and I think you have wonderful insight into this distribution model and how we can reach people online and develop those relationships with them. So I'm so glad that we had a chance to visit today, and thanks for joining us.
Same here. Thanks, Austin.
Folks, I tell you what, I love listening to Christy. I love visiting with her and hearing all her wonderful insights, her years of experience, and hopefully you gain some wonderful insight from that conversation as well, as we look at why there's so many different elements to consider when determining your correct platform, how each platform works differently, and how your distribution method should be strategic to accomplish your goal. For more information about Christy's business and her coaching, how she can help your small business, check out the show notes at backroad-productions.com/podcast and check out episode number 6. Folks, thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you next week on episode number 7 of the In Focus podcast.